Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Drawing with Michael. I am Michael. So this morning, I'm going to start out on a multi-video series that shows you the process that I go through in creating a 3D sculpt. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So this morning, what I usually start out with is research. That's something that I think is sorely missed, especially in the concept art world. What you need to do is you really need to get familiar with the character that you're going to be doing and, pretty much all the aspects, if not the majority of the aspects that makes him the character that he is. I'm a traditional 2D artist, and with that, I've added, through the years, I've added certain disciplines to what I call my artistic tool belt. Graphic design, product design, and finally, just recently, what I'd say in the past 3 years, 2 to 3 years, has been 3D sculpting, primarily using the program ZBrush. I've done some traditional sculpting and wood carving and stuff like that, but moving into a different world with different language is always challenging. But there is a process, and if you go and you find your path, then eventually you'll be able to do things in a capacity that you're satisfied with. So what I like to do first is go back to what I call my comfort zone, which is 2D illustration. So what I do is I find reference for the character, and it is a well-known character, and I start drawing it. I start feeling out the proportions, the volumes. I start understanding light source, squash and stretch, what the character is, who the character is, and the intricacies and the subtleties that make the character who they are. So that's what I'm doing this morning. I'll be doing Slimer from Ghostbusters. So enjoy. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm working on Bristol board in a landscape format, so I can have a couple views of the creature. And I'll be working with my Koh-i-Noor woodless pencil. I'm going to be really loose and messy. So, if you hear me cough and clear my throat, it's just because of seasonal allergies. We're having a pollen bloom up here in the mountains, and it's just absolutely terrible. So I downloaded some reference. As you see, I've got multiple views, different, pretty much the same silhouette and same reference, but different views, so I can really get a feel of his form. And I could basically utilize this and just go right into ZBrush, but I don't like doing that because it doesn't give me enough feeling and enough mental library reference to really complete the task at hand. So that being said, his shape is actually really easy. He's just a blob, right? And kind of like a potato. And he does have some very interesting features to him, but overall, he shouldn't be too hard to do. Okay. So right now, I'm actually really inundated with a 3D project. So this is a nice distraction, because I'm not saying I don't like doing 3D. I do. It just takes a different part of my brain, and that part of my brain hasn't been developed in that particular capacity. So whenever I sit down and I do a 3D piece in a program such as ZBrush, the only thing that's really inhibiting me, and I've said this before, is the program itself, right? It is such an incredible program that, you know, I'm gonna go ahead and have his fingers come out like this, that you can do so much with it. And even though I've been working with it quite a while, it still is, I have to adjust my brain, because whenever I'm doing stuff like this, all of the traditional, traditional words, rhythm and flow, all of these things apply to a 2D world. But whenever I try to apply some of those words, rhythm and flow, form, gesture, and all of those things, it's kind of a disconnect for me anyway. So what I need to do is basically retrain my brain to think in that 3D way. And it's not easy, or at least it isn't for me. So let's go ahead and get his nose. My pencil needs to be sharpened. I still like to be blunt at this stage. I don't like a really sharp point, just because it gives me a nice variation of line weight. And what I'm doing right now is I'm breaking it up into the major shapes of, of this character. I heard at one point, and I'm not sure if this is correct or not, that the character of Slimer was based on John Belushi. The original Ghostbusters, written by Dan Aykroyd. I don't know who else. He co-wrote it with somebody. The character itself was developed after, I believe, John passed away, because he was originally supposed to be in the movie. It was written for, Dan and John, and it slowly developed over time. Go ahead and do this, adding these other peripheral characters, and became one of America's top-grossing films and cult classic. That I remember seeing it in the theater. I don't know what year it came out. 83, I think, 82. So, very fascinating movie, to say the least. And again, what I'm doing right now is I'm not trying to render anything in particular. I'm just feeling out the forms and the different aspects of the character, of who he is. And, the more that you do this, this guy looks like an underbite. The more that you do this, the more you'll be familiarized with the aspects of the character that really make a difference and really matter. Okay. Come around, get that cheekbone that's really big. And it comes back, comes around. And here, we have this. Got that big brow line that comes up. And around. Here. It's abbreviated right there. Alright, so now looks like the bridge of his nose comes here, and then it really comes around like that. And you got this big brow line that comes here and around, and it's like a big chunky mass. Okay. Comes around like that. You got that cheek that comes out. Okay. Sorry about all the noise that I'm making. Good grief. It's aggravating. I listen to it whenever I do the video editing. Been dealing with it for a while. Okay. This comes out. Kind of goes down a little bit, believe it or not. Down. Here. Comes here. And that arm. It's like a long broken pencil. I don't know how I did that. Again, we're thinking simple shapes. Right? Here. Okay. Just got these skin folds that are really interesting. Okay. Comes in. Good. Okay. Mouth is big. Comes out like this. Okay. And what I want to do is I'm continually moving around, and I said this yesterday as I made a kind of a quasi-traditional drawing using reference from Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm constantly moving around and making adjustments as I go, just because I know that, you know, my first pass, my first thought is not always the most correct. So I need to go back, I need to make the adjustments. Oh, where's that? Oh, right here. Okay. All right, so size, they're much smaller than what I think they are, because this goes way in right here. You can almost see the entire eye, and it's round. It's much rounder and abbreviated like this. Okay. All right, so that nose comes out much further, and his nose is much bigger than what I have it. Okay, like that. Okay. Brown, shade that a little bit. Comes here, and that comes out more, like right to there. Okay. Comes out. Comes up, down, goes out. Oh, this is much bad. It's much further back than what I have it. Okay. This goes up and over. Okay, here. And then I've got right here, up and over. Just got that other eye in there. Okay. And then these right here, shaded in slightly, shaded in. His head, it's got that nice curve right there, and it comes over, comes around. Okay. All right, so now I take this cheek right here and I go and I bring it all the way in to find the corner of the mouth. A lot of people will say, oh, the corner of the mouth's right here. Well, that's incorrect. So you need to think of the overall structure of what you're dealing with. So the corner of the mouth is actually going to be way back in here. You won't be able to see it. And then you bring that corner of the mouth up, out, around. Okay. Comes here. And it goes back, all the way back here, because it's connected. Again, the facial structure comes here, and it goes under, like that. And then we've got the teeth that come here. And again, right now I'm just drawing the shapes. I'm not interested in doing details. Okay. And that lip goes here. I'll make sure I got enough room. So I need to go here. This is the bottom right here. He's much longer than what I have him. I'm actually going to end up running out of room. so it needs to come here. It comes out more when it's down further. Down. Okay, so that sucks. Okay. Up. Around. That. Let's get this. Goes here. There. Right there. Okay. All right. I think what I'm probably going to have challenges with are these peripheral wrinkles that seem to come out of nowhere. They keep coming. He's much longer than when I had him. Right. Determining the shading, understanding the facial structure, you know, putting stuff in its rightful place. And he's got, they're really deep in there, aren't they? Man, he's got these wrinkles that come around here, here, and then these wrinkles. That's a cool form right there. It wraps around like that. Here. Wraps around. Okay. Man, that nose is needs to come way up. And this is just, again, this is part of the process of, you know, finding out what's important. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just draw the teeth in really simplified like this, just to give a placeholder, right? And then I'll come back with a darker line. He's got his tongue and his other teeth. It might help you to just think of the teeth as a shape, right? They come up, they come over, then they go back. They go back and they stop like right here. Okay. And then you have that tongue. Just like that. Inner part of the cheek right here, and then it goes really dark right here. It goes all the way to the edge. Okay. Let me see here. Do I have a darker? I think I do. Yeah, we'll use this one right here. Okay, so his hands are pretty cool. Human. So that's going to be pretty easy to do, I think. Okay, he's got the thumb that comes up right here. And again, I'm not getting into all the super details just yet. I want to flesh out the gesture with big simple forms before I go back and I start working out all the intricate details. Okay. Oh, he's got this, it's like all these bumps right here. Okay. Yeah, it comes like that. Okay. And this one comes around. And then it's got a big crease. And it goes down like that. Okay. And then we just continue down with the gelatinous mass. This is really cool right here. I think this is neat. He's got these skin folds that really come in. And here's another one. kind of, you know, it's shaped in such a way that it actually helps form kind of a bicep. Get this out a little bit too far. Comes up. This comes down. Okay, so this is curved, so this is going to be straight. A little thing on the inside here. Okay, so you guys can hear me thinking as I progress through. You know, he's got some baggage under these eyes too. And this is, you know, like I said, it's not a hard drawing, but whenever you do stuff that, excuse me, has to do with that has to do with character, and you're referencing a character, especially one that's as popular, you know, as this, and you realize that you have to get things correct. You know, I'm working on a project right now that has to do with a very popular character, and it is a 3D sculpture. And the thing is in the toy world, you know, not we all, but you know, we as toy designers, you have a license to be creative, and that's all well and dandy. But the problem is you're dealing with these properties that are so well known, and you have to do something, which is you have to keep it true to who the character is. I've always been pretty good at merging my style and making it look like the character that I'm drawing, because I always stop and I always think, I look at the reference material a lot, and that's important. And it depends on your art director and what the project entails and what it's looking for and all of those doodads. But you have to make sure, especially if you're working on something like this, that you keep it true to who the character is. Right? This is a disgusting character. Now you can stylize it, and there still has to be a semblance of correctness. You know, I was at Disney for almost 2 years, and those of you who have been with me for a while know that. And I had to do Mickey Mouse quite a bit, actually. You know, very surprising that they allowed me to do Mickey Mouse. But since, you know, I had the ability to draw things pretty close to, if not right on model, very quickly, I was given the opportunity to work on Mickey Mouse and actually come up with a completely new version of Mickey Mouse for a particular program, and that was super exciting at the time. And then, you know, as I look back, it was just one of those moments where I kind of pinched myself. You know, I remember growing up watching Mickey Mouse and having a lot of fun doing that, and really shaping my artistic being as you know, so to say, as I got older. So this actually comes around. It's that whole shape right there. Okay, yeah, you have to keep looking at your reference, and then, you know, you adjust as needed depending on, see, this comes here, and you get this big fold, and then his arm actually comes out and then back in, and then it comes out and around. You got these big pieces right here, and I'm trying to visualize, you know, this character in 3 dimensions. His fingers are actually sharp, so that might be part of the stylization that I put into it. Okay, so now we're gonna work on his eyes real quick. The thing is, with these woodless pencils, you have to be careful because they break really easy if you're putting side pressure. Top pressure, not so much, but side pressure, you'll end up breaking your pencil really quickly. Okay, so now we're gonna come to this hand right here. I like squinting my eyes. Okay. Okay, comes out. Okay. His hands are, you know, relatively easy. They're just human. Okay. So then this comes out, comes up, over. Look at that single finger that goes like this. Then I got this top finger. Get this other finger that covers up. Okay. Okay. Let's do the bottom teeth really quick. Shouldn't take too much time, right? Well, there's a lot of them. So 1, 2, do it in the position. 3, 4, 5. And they get smaller as they go back. 4, 5. Then they overlay each other right here. And you can see a little bit of the gum here. And then we'll keep this as one shape like that. Okay. So I'm going to work on these and define these. Okay, so it comes up. So anyway, hopefully everybody is faring well in this, you know, this interesting time. I've heard good news, I've heard bad news, I've heard depressing news, I've heard just so many things pertaining to this whole event we're going through as a planet. And we're going through it as a planet. Something that probably never have really done before. The communication is almost instant. We get to hear, you know, what's going on in different parts of the world. So that's fascinating. Okay. And, you know, we will get through this. We will be fine. I heard something recently that said we don't really need to get back to normal. We need to get back to whatever we're supposed to be getting during this time. You know, some people are given the opportunities to you know, to improve themselves, you know, improve relationships. I encourage you to definitely use this time to your benefit, whether it's to improve as an artist, whether it's improve as a person, you know, maybe you improve in your home, whatever it is. Definitely, this is, like I said, unprecedented. So, okay. So now I've really got a good feeling of this character, of what I think I want to do with it. See, this comes out, comes over, and this comes around like that, and under. So what I'll do is I'm probably going to do a side view as well, and I might put that on time lapse. Here we go. So you guys don't have to sit here and listen to me drone on. Okay. You got this other part that goes under and then around. Got these fingers. Okay. Good. Okay. And whenever I actually go and start doing this in the 3D program, you guys can see the process that I use. I use Z-spheres, and then I move on, you know, Polymesh 3D, and then I move into Dynamesh. You know, like I said, I use the program in such a way that it's just in its sculpting stage. I know some people use it for hard surface rendering, and I don't really do that yet. Okay, so we're gonna go here. And I'm thinking again in terms of planes. Like there's a plane right here, and it comes under, and then it goes in right here. It like literally does this. And then this comes at me right here. Okay. exactly where I want it to be. I've got a good feeling of, and his hands are a little bit longer, I just noticed. See? This comes down much further. Like right there. The muscle right here. Here, you've got that knuckle. Right. Okay, not bad. This comes out and around. Okay. Not a bad start. And that's what it is, guys. It's a start. That's all this is. This isn't a rendering. This is just feeling out the character, getting the forms, determining, you know, what I need to do. Because the arm comes out. Yeah, it comes here. Yeah, that big crease right there. Comes out here. Goes in. Okay. All right, so that's it for today. I'll probably end up doing, or not today, I'll probably end up doing a side view right here. And I'll show you that whenever I start the sculpting process, which will be next. You know, and doing a back view possibly in turns. And feeling out. Okay. There we go. There we go. Feeling it. Plain language right there. He's got these. Okay, he's got that brow line that comes up. Okay, so that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the short video. Please like and subscribe, and tomorrow morning I'll move on to the next stage. Doing turns. We all, we as artists and illustrators, especially in the toy design field, you know, turns are a necessity in understanding, you know, form, and also viewing the image from all directions. As a 2D artist, it's important, especially when you're going to the 3D. I had to do turns. Gosh, I've had to do turns for so many different products and creatures and whatnot. And turns are very important, even especially in gaming. You know, for the character designs. So you guys get to see me do that. So anyway, thank you guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.